Hello, in this lesson we'll be looking at comprehension. Okay, comprehension. So we did discuss in some previous lessons that comprehension is part of paper 2 and that comprehension carries 20%. Okay, so it's a very important component in the English language, and there's so many skills that you need to develop in order for you to grow your competence in answering comprehension questions. So let's get right into it. What is comprehension? You can see from this word right here that the word comprehension comes from the word comprehend. Okay, comprehend. What is to comprehend? To comprehend, you can say simply, is to grasp or grasp. Can you see this word grasp? Okay, or to comprehend can be understood as to understand. Okay, comprehension therefore is the ability to understand. So in this case, you'll be given a text. Okay, you'll be given a text, and then you'll be asked several things about that text to judge whether you have understood what you have read, or at least whether you have grasped the concepts that this text has. Okay, so comprehension then must be understood like that. Now, in the notes below, you are going to find a text, a comprehension text that you are going to read, and then when you read that particular text, you find questions that follow. You do well to answer them. But let me give you some tips that you will need in order for you to fully, at least give yourself a very high chance of understanding what that component is about. Let me just say from the onset that comprehension is not difficult. What is important is whether you understand what you have read or not. Really, that's what sets the difference between those that pass and those that don't. So don't ever answer comprehension questions without reading the text. Now, you will say this is painfully obvious. You need to read the text and then you answer. But there's three types of reading that we can talk about. So the first type of reading is what we're calling, skimming. What is to skim? To skim is really to just read quickly. Okay, you might remember this word from the previous lessons. Okay, what word class is the word quickly? That's for you to answer. So it's to read quickly to get the gist or the general idea, right? Don't ever answer a question without skimming through, without checking. And then the next type of reading that you will need is what we're going to call scanning. Okay, scanning. What is to scan? Remember, to skim is to read quickly through a text to get the general idea. So is this text about technology? Is it about disease? Is it about mathematics and so on? So only when you skim can you really tell what this text is about, right? To scan, however, or scanning, is to look for specific information. All right. Now, the question that you're answering is going to guide you into where specifically you are supposed to look for that type of information. The third type of reading is reading in depth. This one, reading in depth. Reading in depth. This one, you are not required per se to do it under comprehension. I just mentioned it because I think it's an important skill that you need to develop. But these two rather, skimming and scanning, are very important when you're dealing with comprehension. So tip number 1, read the text. Read the text. Okay? Tip number 2 is, again, something that's painfully obvious. Read the questions. Read the questions. before you can attempt to answer anything, read the questions, read all of them. There will usually be 10. Read all of them. At this point, you're not answering anything, you're just reading. Why? Because you're unlocking your mind to look for specific information. Remember, those questions are going to guide you into looking at what specifically or where specifically you need to look to answer any one of those questions. So you find questions that say according to paragraph 2 or according to paragraph 4, that means that your focus should be, at least in order for you to answer that question, should be to look specifically at that paragraph that's in question. So read the questions. Again, two things that are painfully obvious. Number one, I said you need to read the text. Number two, I said you need to read the question. This, dear friends, is extremely, extremely important. The third thing you need to do, tip number 3, is read. Now there's a lot of reading that's involved. Read the text again. Okay? Read the text again. I'm an advocate of reading a particular text twice. That is why in one of my previous videos I did say that you need to set aside at least 20 minutes every day for you to read. So as you do that in preparation for the comprehension component of the exam, you are also developing your muscle of reading quickly. So remember, you are reading twice. Okay, read the the text again. Okay, at this time, when you're reading the text for the second time, because you have read the questions, your mind is going to open up in certain ways that will help you answer these questions very, very well. So tip number 4, stick to the passage. Okay? Do not introduce your own ideas just because, according to you, if someone is bereaved, they cry and they go into a state of mourning, does not mean that that's what the text has mentioned. Okay, so by passage I mean text. Text, passage, it's the same thing that we're talking about. So stick to the passage. Do not introduce your own components. So make sure you answer the questions according to the passage or according to the text. And lastly, tip number 5, okay, I encourage you to look for the best answer. Okay, look for the best answer. Sometimes comprehension texts are tricky, comprehension questions are tricky. You see that they'll give you 4 options, A, B, C, and D, and you find that sometimes 2 of those options will be correct. But the question is, which one is the best answer? That's the one you're looking for. So you're not really looking for the correct answer, you are looking for the best answer. So these 5 tips are going to help you in answering comprehension questions. Now remember, there's other skills that will teach you in this course that you will need to use in order for you to perfectly understand, to perfectly master this comprehension component of the exam. But for today, I've given you these 5 tips. So what you would do is read the notes and also attempt the questions below. Thank you.